Whoa! Whoa, whoa. Okay, I'll go up, down. Okay. It will be relevant later. I thought I heard a snake, but that might have just been me stepping on a branch. I'm gonna really hope that I'm going crazy and that was just a branch falling down. One of those rare times you will hear a person say, "Man, I hope I'm crazy." No, I think this is about as high as I can get. Well, okay, now we're up way too high. I thought, just keep going all the way up, and I'll have a better place to shoot. Let's go back down. So, I went all the way up there. I was down there. Nothing really worked, so I guess we'll just have the conversation here. So, Joel Haver from YouTube had this idea that, also, Joel Haver from Joel Haver's life. It's not very fair to just demote a person to one single thing, although Joel Haver from YouTube. Joel Haver from YouTube had this idea that if a feature film is simply described as being 40 minutes long, and that's all it takes to be considered a feature film, that... Where the hell's the pine cone we set down earlier? We put that down, right? We didn't... I'm pretty sure I put that off. Whatever. Weird. So Joel Haver from YouTube, he had this idea that if a feature film only needs to be 40 minutes long to be considered a feature, then why not just consider any 40-minute piece of media a feature film? It's about deconstructing feature filmmaking. It's about how feature films in the Academy, there's all this pretense that goes behind it. There's all this idea that it has to be this huge, stressful thing. You gotta have millions of dollars involved. And he put into words something that I've been saying for a while, which is that if you say that your movie cost nothing to make, in my head, what I think is that your movie cost nothing to make. But if your movie cost $1 million, or $500,000, or $50,000, or $5,000, your movie didn't cost you nothing to make. Your movie cost you whatever number that was to make. That's not, hold on, I'm going down the steep part. If the movie cost you $50,000, well, guess what? I don't have $50,000. I have closer to $50. I'm not spending $50 on this. I need that $50 to eat. God damn it. What the? Branch, give me back my jacket. That's rude. I got $50 to eat for the next 2 days. There's people who have a lot less money than that. There's people who would consider $5 like a lot of money, not because it is, but because they have that little money. So to say that you spent a total of an invested $500,000 and oh yeah, my movie cost nothing to make. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. You know how many people, like, yeah, you live in LA, it could be easier. And sure, there's online crowdfunding, but birds. There's alternative methods to getting funding, but you know, a lot of people even living in LA, a lot of people who live even in the city of Hollywood, there's a lot of people who cannot, who will never be able to fundraise thousands of dollars, even a few $1,000s. They don't have the resources, they don't have the connections, they don't have the know-how. They know what they want to do, but they won't be able to materialize their ambitions. You know, I went to film school for a few years and never really got much work in the field. It just didn't happen. And you know, sure, there's a lot of could've, should've, would've for me being, at this point, you know, almost 30 years old. Like, even with life being the way it is, you know, age 1 to 18, there's no reason why 11 years later I am not a A-list director, an A-list writer. There's ultimately no, you know, could have, should have, would have. Why aren't I a big filmmaker? I'm just not. It didn't happen. Life didn't go that way. We didn't take that path. And I've never crowdfunded for any films. But, you know, look at me right now. Filming in nature, in a real location. Like, this isn't green screen. If this was green screen, if I had access to green screen this good, well, that's the end of the thought. It'd be pretty cool. So Joel Haver says, Why not spend the Oscars? Why not spend those 3-4 hours? Why not spend that time shooting a movie? Which, finally, 15 to 20 minutes in, 15 to 20 minutes of you watching me walk, of you listening to me talk. We're probably about halfway through the video. I don't know. Maybe we're almost done with the video. Maybe the video's just getting started. We're finally getting to the point. The point of this video, it's in the title. What is a movie? And that's not quite as open-ended of a question as it seems. What I'm getting at is very simple. I want to go on more about it because I think it's fascinating. But ultimately, in the beginning, you know, you would see a feature film. And, well, in the very beginning, that didn't mean anything because the very first photograph was a man on a horse. Moving picture. Man on a horse. That's what The Matrix, that's what the Wachowskis get that from. The bullet time is just, let's take a bunch of pictures at the same time and call it a moving picture. It's an illusion. But redacting in the beginning, for a very long time, a feature film is, you know, it's 90 minutes. A feature film is 2 hours. A feature film is 3 hours, 3.5 hours, you know, 1 hour. There's a lot of really good animated movies that have so much content in them. They're only 75 minutes long, and yet in 1 hour, 15 minutes, a lot of animated stories can tell more story than a 3-hour movie you'd see in Hollywood. Well, okay, animated movies are made in Hollywood. You know what I mean, I'm sorry. An hour, 15-minute film can have more story than a 3-hour live-action movie. The Hobbit. The animated Hobbit from the 70s. That movie was an hour, 15 minutes. And it told the same story, details aside, it told the same story that live action, you know, Warner Brothers, Peter Jackson, New Line Cinema, Kiwi Films, I think it's called Wingnut Films, that's it. Wingnut Films takes 3 feature films. Wingnut Films, Peter Jackson takes 3 full-length movies, about 8 hours of time. You know, originally I was going to have this video just be one entire, uninterrupted, unedited 45 minutes of myself walking in the woods. But life finds a way. What the hell was I talking about? Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way. Oh, right. So, I was going to do this as just 40 minutes of uninterrupted, just rambling, walking in the woods to help prove a point, which is just a point that Joel Haver has already proven. And this new genre called folk filmmaking. Do you pronounce the L or not? They don't care. Like, you know, folk songs. Doesn't matter if you pronounce the L. Why am I getting so hung up on that? Folk filmmaking is the idea behind what I was doing for a little bit when I was making movies, which was bottom barrel budget films. Because you can say that your movie cost nothing to make, but, you know, you'll go on IMDb, oh yeah, $100,000 is nothing. Way to show off your idea of zero money is $100,000. You know how many people don't have $100,000? You know how many people can't raise $100,000? Like, no, you made your movie for $100,000. You didn't make it for nothing. That's the amount you made it for. Bottom barrel budget films. Folk filmmaking. It's like, no, we literally didn't have a budget. Like, you know, was money spent on the camera? Yeah. But that wasn't a camera that was just for this shoot. That's a camera that was already purchased at a different point. You know, is there a boom mic? We should have shot more with a mic. But we didn't buy or rent or lease out things just for one single production. It didn't happen. We didn't do that. So we literally spent nothing on our movies. And that's what folk filmmaking is. I mean, I'm sure, you know, you can put your budget into it. You can put some money into it. But that's not really the philosophy. The philosophy of folk filmmaking is that it's real. It's dogma. Who is going to copyright the sound of that bird? Don't try it, Disney. I know you could try it. Don't try it, Disney. Just going around shooting stuff. Why not? Why does feature filmmaking have to have this idea that it has to be super stressful, has to take years and years, it has to do this and that and this and that? You know, the end goal is to, as a business, make money. But as an artist, the goal is to make art. And if I was working within a studio system, this shot right here, this single shot that I'm doing on my cell phone of these woods, this within the studio system would cost a few $1,000s. It would take a few $1,000s for them to move, you know, move the talent here, move all of the sound and all the camera stuff and all of the electricity and the permits and the insurance, and it would take so much resources for some studio people to just do what I'm doing right now for nothing. So if you think about it, granted, there are less resources, and granted, there is less story being told right now. I mean, you could argue that Hollywood doesn't really tell a lot of stories in action movies, you know, if you're a cynic, but that's not the point, because I'm not here to trash someone else's art. You know, you could say that this 2-hour popcorn movie was garbage, and objectively, which, what the hell is objective art? Objectively, it could be agreed. The consensus could be that Gunman with Robot is a bad movie because the story was bad and the camera shook too much and the characters were flat. But, you know, 14-year-old dude kid McCool can be like, hey, Gunman is the coolest character I've seen in a movie in a very long time. And, you know, Papa Dude Man McCool Sr. can say, man, Robot was the coolest robot I have seen in a movie my whole life. And to those two, that can be like the coolest movie ever. And because it was cool, because they had a great time, they will say that that was one of the best movies ever made. Because they don't have to think about it objectively. Because what the hell is objective art? What the hell is a movie? If you like it, it's good to you. You can say, as I've said about some movies, I can say, well, I didn't like it, but I thought it was a good movie. And I've said the opposite. I have said about films that I don't think it was a good movie, but I liked it. And feature films, okay? feature films can be defined now, or technically always have, by the Academy been defined as a movie that is 40 minutes or longer. I sure as hell wouldn't pay the full ticket price for a 40-minute movie, would you? But that's the minimum. So I've just been kind of walking back and forth, up and down the hill, just trying to find a nice backdrop, just trying to find some, whatever. But ultimately, let's just, we're losing daylight here. Let's just sit down and get comfortable. If this whole thing is edited together, edited down, trimmed, made kind of nicer, and it's 40 minutes in length, by Academy standards, I have shot a feature film in really 2.5 hours. 2 hours, really. And I shot a feature film in 2 hours instead of watching the Oscars. What's the point of watching the Oscars? What's the point of watching some guys in suits dictate, what is or isn't a movie, when you can just make your own movie? And this was a really fun exercise. Even though it's so simple, a lot went wrong. And that's deconstructing, Hollywood's feature filmmaking. That's deconstructing what is filmmaking treated as. Filmmaking is treated like, you hear about making a movie, it's like, oh, that sounds fun, I'd love to make a movie. But if you ever try to make a movie, you ever try to make a short film, you ever try to produce a short, at some point, it gets a lot more difficult than you imagined. It gets a lot more time-consuming. Making a feature film that was weird, let's not talk about that ever again. Making a feature film has this air to it that it is the most exuberating. I don't even know what that word means, but it sounds right. It is the most labor-intensive thing to make a feature film. Something that, people will watch ultimately at some point. And no matter how much money you put into it, no matter how much time you put into it, no matter how polished it is, someone's just going to watch your movie on their cell phone. This movie, it goes out to those who are watching this movie, but any platform, any digital platform you put your movie on, you can watch that with a mobile version on the phone. So any movie can be watched on a cell phone. You are making a movie. You are making a product that people will look at on their cell phone during a very brief time. Well, they don't have a lot of time, just maybe a few minutes of it, maybe 10 minutes of it. Maybe they'll watch like half of it, and maybe they'll fall asleep in the middle of it. You're making a product that people aren't going to sit down in the theater completely, enamored with your art, with your cinematography, with your lighting, with your post-production, with your... I'm just naming off film things now. No matter what you do, someone is going to watch your movie on their phone. And, for people like Denis Villeneuve, the guy who made Dune, and David Lynch, and many other great filmmakers think that it's a tragedy that movies are being watched mobily. But this movie is being made mobily. So, moot point. But Dune was amazing, so I'll forgive you. Now that said, if you can make a feature film, well, you, I, whatever. If a feature film can be produced entirely by one person walking around a 1/4-mile woods radius in 2 hours, imagine what could be done by someone who wants to make a movie that gets together with their friends and says, what the hell, let's just make a movie. Let's not worry about it. The end result is not as important as the process. The process of creating art. The process of making your movie. You know, someone can make a 25-minute review saying that your feature film was trash. Someone can make a 1-hour video saying that your film was trash. What they can't do, they can't unmake your art. You already made it. It's finished. It's out there. You did it. A lot of people give up before they even start. I gave up before I started on a lot of projects. There's so many ideas that I have. There's so many projects that I just want to make that I've never made because bullshit. There's projects I've never made because, oh, well, I made this short film and they didn't like it, so I made other short films. No matter how many people, you know, could say they didn't like a film I made, I could show it to someone and someone would like it. Someone out there will like your work. Someone out there will appreciate your art. If no one else, you should. You should appreciate that you made it. I already know, because I was this way once myself. To a degree, I sometimes am still this way. A lot of people are gonna say, you didn't make a feature film. You recorded yourself talking into a camera. To which I will say, yes. And? Go on. You can say that wasn't a film. That was just you walking around and talking about nothing. Was I talking about nothing? Or was I talking about a lot? You can disagree with what I was saying. You can think that it's not original. But I wasn't talking about nothing. If a feature film was of more value than just some video on YouTube, you wouldn't be able to watch that YouTube video on a really big screen TV. And you wouldn't be able to watch that really high budget movie on your phone. But both of those cases are true. You can watch a video essay on your home theater, and you can watch a $250 million movie on your phone. So who's to say what is and what isn't a movie? How do you define a movie? At that point. I mean, you can say a traditional movie, and people will know what you're talking about, but, you know, all television. What happened with television? Television used to be 26 episodes long for, like, you know, every season. And now you can have a story that is 8 episodes, and that's a season. Like, 8 episodes is a television season, and you can tell more story. There are shows now that in 10 episode seasons tell more story than a lot of old television would tell in 26 minutes. 26 episodes. If 10 episodes can be greater than 26 episodes, then why is it so difficult for us to just sort of accept that maybe something we saw on YouTube doesn't need the stigma of, oh yeah, it's just something on YouTube, when something on YouTube can be binge watched for hours on end. You know, you can spend an hour and a half at a movie theater watching a short movie. You can spend 4 hours watching someone's YouTube content if you go down their whole channel. And you can say that I'm not getting at a point. And I can say, maybe that is the point. And I can say, maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. Or maybe I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm choosing to just stretch it out so that this is 40 minutes long and that it's a feature film. If you want me to get to the point, you're watching the wrong video. It's what is a movie? What is art? You put your content out there, and someone watches it, and they like it or they don't like it. If you work within the Hollywood system and you make millions and millions of dollars, and your your product is seen around the world and everyone's heard about it. Everyone's heard of your movie. Guess what you did? You had an idea, you put your idea together, you shot your idea, you put that product out there, and people consumed it, and they gave you feedback. That's exactly what people who just throw things together and send them out there on the internet are doing. Like, it's not that complicated. There's a lot more steps in the middle, there's nuance, but the end result at the beginning are the same. What matters? What matters is the process. What matters is, did you enjoy making it? There's people who make movies that make so much money, and then you talk to them in candid situations, and they say, oh man, that movie was a nightmare to make. I hated that movie. You can spend years developing a property, getting it made, and no one likes it, and you don't like it. But it made money, and so to the studio, that's a success. Was it a success if no one had fun? Financially, yeah, but like, is that all it is? I mean, if you're just in it for the business, then, hey, who am I to tell you, that you weren't successful if your goal was just to see it make a lot of money? But if you wanted to tell a story and you weren't able to tell that story, that's gonna bother you. And if your movie bombs, does terrible, if everyone trashes your movie, but it was your story exactly the way you wanted it to go, it was your story exactly the way you envisioned it, if everyone on set had a great time, if everyone loved making that movie, if the editor was pretty confident in that movie, if everyone enjoyed every aspect of making that movie and you were uncompromised in your vision, how is that not a success? What does success even look like? The end result is not as important as getting there. And that's subjective. You're already getting ready to comment. You're already getting ready to comment and tell me that that's subjective. But yeah, so is art. The whole point of this exercise, the whole point of this challenge is to film a feature in 3 hours. And I got 8 minutes to go. So it's go time. Maybe all of this is going to be great. Maybe it's going to all be garbage. But the point is that I filmed something that the Academy would call feature length. I filmed it in 3 hours. And honestly, I only filmed it in like 2 hours, in like an hour and a half, really. Because there was a lot of time that I wasn't filming. So I'm still not good enough yet at the challenge, but I will be. I was good enough to complete the challenge to an extent, and that extent is what mattered. And I'm proud of it. Even if it's not great, what a hypocrite would I be if I said all of those good things and I wasn't proud of myself for completing the Joel Haver Make a Movie During the Oscars challenge. And next time it'll be better. Next year during the Oscars, I'm going to make something really good. I'm going to, I'll have a camera, I'll get some people together, and we're going to shoot. And we're going to shoot You know, from the minute it starts to the minute it ends, we're gonna shoot for 3 whole hours all the way through. And it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a lot more planned out. Not too planned out, because the whole point is the chaos. The whole point is to just make your movie. Don't worry about all of the superficial, if that's even the right word. Don't worry about the nothing. Just focus on making the movie. And that's what I did right now. If I was myself, you know, a couple years ago, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go out and shoot this movie, I would go out there and go, I got nothing. I got nothing to talk about. None of my ideas are fun. I think I can make a lot of really good content if I just keep having the push. If you guys, people, I shouldn't say guys, I don't know. If you viewers like my content, if you viewers like my personality, if you like my raw, unfiltered, whatever you want to call it, bravado, charisma, if you guys like what I'm doing, I will make more. But you have to tell me to make more. I will put something out, and maybe people really like it, but I'm gonna think it was terrible. So, you know, I'm gonna do it for me. But I also gotta know that some people are liking it. Um, because I'm vain like that, and because I need the because I'm vain like that, and because I need the validation. I need to see that my art does hit people. And if it does, you know, I have a lot of content that I haven't made because I feel like people, it'll be a catch-22. It's content that people would only like if I already had a following. But I can only make a following if I make content. I have to make content to get the following, and I gotta make the following to make people want to see the content. It's a catch-22. Like, I have ideas of pitches. I would love to do pitch videos where it's just me talking to the camera, you know, maybe with a guest. Maybe a guest will, like, you know, help me along and tell their version of the pitch. Like, you know, how would you do the same idea? What would be your take on it? You know, maybe we could do, like, pitch battles. That's one idea. In 20 years, we have gone from cell phones don't record video, and if they do, it's awful video, to now you can make a movie and watch a movie and share a movie from your phone. Imagine where we'll be in 10 years from now. Imagine where we're going to be in 20 years. Like, every 10 years, it feels like technology has just jumped astronomically. Every 10 years, it feels like, oh wow, technology has gone so far. What'll they think of next? They're already thinking of it. They put these things out in such small little increments that we don't see the huge jumps. We just see that the little tiny steps at a time, but we've made huge jumps in technology every decade. I cannot wait to see what's next and how much easier it's going to be to make feature films. And oh shoot, only one more minute to go. Okay, so lightning round. I can't wait to keep making videos. I can't wait to keep putting my art out there. I'm going to keep on making my art, and hopefully you guys are going to watch it. Whoever you are, you guys, you people, you. I hope you keep watching my videos. To you who is watching this 10 years from now in a clip show, I hope that you are enjoying this relaunch of my attempt at my own Hollywood. And, you know, you can say it's not art, you can say it's not artistic, but you know what? I think it is. And I'm gonna keep enjoying making it, and hopefully someone's gonna keep enjoying watching it. I'm going to keep producing these videos. And how long it takes to make them, not the point. The point is they're gonna keep getting made, and I would love to make more feature films. Next year, maybe next month, maybe next week, maybe tomorrow. Not tomorrow. No, definitely not tomorrow. But I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep making content. Let's go, guys. Thanks, Joel Haver, for the motivation.
And thanks to you for watching this, and thanks for just sticking through it, because I know I ramble a lot, but you got 3 hours to make a feature film. What are you gonna do? Have a great night, have a great day, have a great weekend or week, or have a good life. I don't mean to sound like you're about to die. Hopefully you're not. But have a good. Oh crap, it's 8:01. I'm out of time.